So I'm reclined in kind of a California position. Living in Japan, they put me in a real small apartment. I might put pictures up at some point, but I don't really have any furniture to speak of. I have a low table that stands about this high. Just to my right here, I have a small entertainment center with a TV that I never really use because I didn't really like TV in the States, and here in Japan they're just sort of eccentric. But so it's very laid back, very laid back. But it's cold, and I'm a cheap ass, so I wear coats indoors. But onto the subject of importance here. The topic of the evening, as I eat one of my hairs. So the comments so far have been fantastic. I think people are thinking, people are getting out there and making their ideas known. This is a natural thing for people to do. I think a lot of people like to do this. I think that's why YouTube and other communities like it are so successful. But having said all of that, I wanted to address my own question, not to answer it, but to give some thoughts. You see, the truth is, whether or not you want to agree with me on the subject of nonviolence, not a one of you can properly make a response to the question as it stands. Plenty of you had, and plenty of you were on both sides of the issue. But the truth of the matter is, if you were truly interested in answering my original question, not a one of you could do it. Not yet, at least. So let's talk about that. The reason why no one was able to answer the question is because of a dialectical reason, or a dialectic reason. I think a dialectic reason. And you've heard me talk about dialectic before. I like dialectic. I've used it in argument of other people in the past, in support of other people in the past, and I've referred to it in sort of indirect ways. So I wanted to work with it directly. That was the purpose of that first video. I said I wanted to give you something to work with. Well, this is what I wanted you to work with. I wanted you to have an opportunity to really use dialectic and to really see why it is actually so important. The first question, or the original question, was, does pacifism work? The difficulty, though, is the word work. And now that I've drawn your attention to it, just like, an art teacher could draw a student's eye to a specific part of a masterpiece and say, well, did you see this? And then the student can't take his eyes off of that most important part of that masterpiece, that painting, whatever it might be. So too, I think many people will chime in on this idea very quickly when I bring the topic into focus, and when I bring the issue into focus, by mentioning that the whole world, the whole world of this question is hinged on the word work. There's a lot of W words, sorry. Work suggests whether or not it can meet some kind of criteria. Does it work? Obviously we can say, does your car work? That means, does it function properly? But it functions properly because it meets a standard. The ignition ignites the whatever, and the other thing that's connected to the other thing, it starts the little boogie thingy and whatever. I don't know anything about cars. Can you tell? But we all have a criterion that we apply to the state and the functioning of a car. And if it meets that criterion, we say that it works. If it doesn't, we say that it doesn't work. The problem is no one asked, and I did not tell you what the criterion was in this case. And now, why is that important? Now, what is the criterion? What is it that we could say, okay, here's nonviolence, here's our situation, our criterion, right? And it has to meet this criterion in order for us to say that nonviolence works. Now, to demonstrate this, I want to take a look at the general response against pacifism. And you can see this, and you might have even given this argument yourself, but if you didn't, you can certainly see it in the comments of the last video. With some variation, of course, but the general idea is that in some situations you'll have no other choice but to engage violently to protect yourself, right? But nobody said that nonviolence is a means to protection. I give you Mahatma Gandhi. I did this in the last video. I'll have to stop saying that. I give you. No, but I do. I give you Mahatma Gandhi. Do you think for a second, especially if you've seen the movie, you know, that they did on him, do you think for a second that he would contest that pacifism is a means of protection? They beat the crap out of the guy. I give you, oh, there I go again. I give you Martin Luther King Jr., right? No one knows who Martin Luther King Sr. is, so just never mind. Martin Luther King Jr. His followers, did they say that nonviolence was a means to protection? No. No, no, no. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see why this is so important? All of the argument that I was able to see, at least, and the one, and you know, the fistful of emails that I got, and all the comments that everyone can see. I even got one guy's term paper. I haven't read it all, but what I've read, kudos. Yeah, in my mailbox. I don't know. I should charge people, and I'll read your term papers, but I will charge you. PayPal, you know, credit card, small jewels. Anyways, with that in mind, we have to then say, well, okay, what is the real criterion if it's not protection? Because part of nonviolence is to take punches, to appeal to their sense of what is right and what is moral. You make the justice visible. That's what Gandhi did. That's why he was beaten, and that's why he won, is because his people were beaten and they appealed to the sense of morality within the British. And we all have that. There are not races upon this planet that does not have that sense of morality. Don't be a bigot. Don't be a stupid person. If you want to be, go to another channel. I don't have time for you. We don't have time for you. The world doesn't have time for you. Okay, God has plenty of time for you, and I hope you find him soon. But really, it works in every situation. All people have this. But now, what is it supposed to do if it doesn't protect you? Well, that's where I want to leave it off and allow the conversation to continue. I don't want to give an answer to my own question. Obviously, I already have one. Obviously, I wouldn't be interested in this otherwise. But I wanted to give you that clarification and to show you why getting all your terms clarified and defined are really important, because it ultimately is the underpinning of the entire discussion.